Hey everyone, Nathan Rose here. Today I'm doing my book review of The Even More Complete Chess Addict. Now it's The Even More Complete Chess Addict because it was first published in 1987 as The Complete Chess Addict, but then it was expanded, revised and updated in 1993 to be The Even More Complete Chess Addict. So that's the version that I've got here. The first thing to say is that it's a trivia book. It's filled with quotes, stories, and anecdotes, all about the game we love. So it's not a how to play chess better book. It's more of a bedside read. It's a book that you can flip through. And the authors actually say that their intention is to make the reader say, wow, every few pages. And I think it does that. The book's split into a few different sections. It starts out with a very interesting section called The Famous, where it takes people who are famous for other reasons besides chess, like Benjamin Franklin or Karl Marx or Humphrey Bogart, and then tells something about what they did in the chess world. So very interesting to see these famous historical figures and what they accomplished in chess. And then it actually goes and tries to create a best team of writers, right? So who's board 1 for the writers, who's board 2, board 3, board 4. And then it does the same for politicians, for sports people, and a bunch of other categories. So that's quite fun. It talks about the real professional players as well, like the players that you would have heard of because of their chess exploits, the world champions, and talks about facts related to them. And actually, this book was one of my main sources when I was writing chess opening names, both Volume 1 and Volume 2, because there's so much great trivia in here. It's I couldn't help but steal a few stories from here to include in my book. So it's great for that reason, and it does actually include the full match scores of every World Chess Championship played up until 1990. Obviously, after that, the book is older than subsequent World Championship matches, so it doesn't include those. But it's quite useful just to see all the World Championship matches just listed with how many wins, draws and losses there were in each. So then there's a section called Desert Island Chess. So if you found yourself stranded on a desert island with no one else around, and you had this book, you could play some positions against yourself. So they're puzzles, but they're rather fun, unorthodox puzzles. So just to give you one example, there's one puzzle where you've got to start the game with the white pieces and take all of black's pieces. So you've got to construct a game, so you get to control both black and white. Construct a game where after 16 moves, all of black's pieces have been taken, except the king, and all of white's pieces have returned to their starting squares. So give that one a go if you want. It's also got the Knight's Tour, the famous puzzle where you take a knight and move it to every one of the 64 squares once without moving to any square more than once. But I think my favourite section is called The Frightful, where it details some of the worst incidents to happen in chess. So quickest losses, tournaments where a player just lost every single game. And one of my favourite stories where a simultaneous exhibition was held. And normally these are held by grandmasters or international masters or very, very strong players who move around several boards during an evening. So every player who's participating is just concentrating only on their game, but the person who's giving the simultaneous exhibition moves around the board and quickly plays his moves. So he's basically playing, a dozen or 20 or however many games all at the same time. But someone turned up to one of these and wasn't a strong player. He lost almost every game that he played, and, he was refused his money. So that was quite funny. There's lots of stories like that. There's also a section on unorthodox chess. including historical versions such as Shatranj, which is an early ancestor to the chess that we know today. There's also quite a fun one called Rejection Chess, where your opponent has the chance to reject the move that you play. So you could imagine this could turn into a bit of a game of cat and mouse, right? Do you play your strongest move first, in which case your opponent could reject it? Or do you play your second strongest move, hoping that your opponent will reject it, and then get to play the really strongest move that you wanted to play in the first place? Very interesting, and a lot of fun. And then there's alcoholic chess, where when you capture one of your opponent's pieces, you have to take a drink. So you could imagine that the pawns have lower alcohol content than the higher value pieces. And it was said that Emanuel Lasker, who was the second world chess champion in the early part of the 20th century, managed to win a game of alcoholic chess by sacrificing his queen very early in the game, which got his opponent so drunk that Lasker went on to recover from the material disadvantage and win the game. So I love this book, and there's one more reason why it's worth picking up, and that's because the time that it was published. So 1993, when this second edition came out, there was still hope that Bobby Fischer, the legendary American player, would come back from retirement. So for those who don't know, Bobby Fischer played in the 1972 World Chess Championship and beat the Soviet player Boris Spassky, which was a huge deal. It was in the middle of the Cold War, so it was very symbolic that an American player would beat a Soviet player at chess. But then after that, Bobby Fischer disappeared from the game and wasn't really heard from again. He did appear once in a very strange rematch in 1992, but there was always hope that Fischer might return to serious chess competition and challenge the world chess champion Garry Kasparov in a game which would have generated unprecedented media attention. So it was interesting to me because now that Fischer has passed away, it never occurred to me that there was such a level of hope that Fischer might actually return to the arena. And then finally, at the end of the book, and I think this is a nice place to finish the review, they have an afterword. It says Afterword by the world champion. And I'll just hold it up there to the camera. It's written in a 10-year-old's handwriting because it's the under 10 world champion. So it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, very British humour, typical of the two authors, Mike Fox and Richard James. So yeah, it's an afterword by the world champion, but it's an under 10 world champion. But I'll read out the afterword. It says, I keep going back to the bookshelf to find this book because I really enjoy it. I like it because it has loads of fun information. And it's signed by Luke Mcshane. Now, Luke Mcshane went on from being a strong under 10 player to become one of the world's strongest amateur players, if not the strongest. I actually looked up Luke Mcshane before starting this recording, and as of right now, he has a FIDE rating of 2650, or thereabouts, and is in the world's top 100. And that's as an amateur. So he has a full-time career in the financial services industry, but he's also managed to keep his interest in chess alive to such an extent that he's rated where he is, which is just absolutely amazing and gives hope to the rest of us, I suppose. So that's the review. Do check it out. You know, this book might be a bit hard to find because it is an old book and I guess it's not in print anymore, but if you go to a second-hand bookshop, or I guess online bookshops would also have copies, check it out. It's a lot of fun. You'll learn something interesting about chess, guaranteed. And yeah, thumbs up. Give me a comment down below if you've read The Complete Chess Addict, or The Even More Complete Chess Addict. And subscribe to the channel for more great chess content. Bye for now.